What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kruger, surprised with new topics every single weekend, jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and we have another brand new UFC event this weekend, UFC Vegas 115, Renato Moicano versus Chris Duncan in the men's lightweight division. Should be a pretty decent Apex cards. We have 13 fights, if I'm not mistaken. They just added on a little straggler, which we're going to open up our predictions with. But on today's episode, that's what we are discussing. We're dropping our predictions and preview for every single fight going down at UFC Vegas 115 this upcoming Easter weekend. Also on today's episode, I'll give my thoughts on the Final Four and what I think is going to take place with all three games, including the two that go down Saturday, and what they mean for my brackets and such. And of course, we're going to be kicking off today's episode with 7 new UFC fights, which have recently been announced. Some are big, some are minor, but they are new fights nonetheless. And other than that, nothing too much more to discuss. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there to watch right now. I know for Invincible Season 4, I've only watched Episode 1, I think it is, maybe 1 and 2. I honestly can't remember, but that's definitely something I need to get back on my watching game with. And in terms of Easter weekend, I'm heading back to Minnesota soon. Very exciting stuff. Work's been kind of dragging as of late. I think it's just the season for the company that I'm with, you know, with Medicare and stuff. A very glamorous career, but we'll review, we're going to avoid all of the negativity on today's episode, and we're only going to talk about the positives. And one positive for a start is new UFC fights. Kicking off the latest announcement of new UFC fights, we have one for UFC Vegas 118 going down on June 6th at the Apex. Of course, flyweight division, Matt Danger Schnell in another UFC fight. It'll be his 17th career UFC fight. How does Matt Schnell keep getting UFC fights? I have no idea. Biggest career win is probably over Sumadarji, but they're feeding him to the He-Man, Emmanuel Rodriguez, one of the hottest prospects on the record. I mean, the kid is only 26 years old, and he is just taking the game by storm. His debut over Kevin Borjas was awesome. Just comebacks on the Contender Series, comebacks in the UFC. He is nonstop entertainment, and it is a shame he is not on the next, international card we're going to have. I'm so happy he was able to get on the UFC Mexico card this year. But yeah, Emmanuel Rodriguez should scorch Matt Schnell, but Matt Schnell is also a good veteran to test Emmanuel to see if he could maybe hang with some ranked opponents. But that's super fun. Should be on the main card of that little UFC Vegas Apex event. Then coming at you for UFC Baku, we're heading back to Azerbaijan June 27th. So post UFC Freedom, we'll be heading to Azerbaijan or Baku. We went there last year. And you have the number 8th ranked Asul Mabayev taking on the number 13th ranked Charles Johnson. And Charles Johnson was able to pick up a nice little win over, was it Bruno Silva? His last win? I think his last one was Bruno Silva. It was a split decision or something. Also holds wins over Joshua Van and Loner Kavanagh. I mean, legend in the game is Charles Johnson. And very interesting fight here against Asul Mabayev. Asu, I thought, would have been fighting up. He was originally supposed to take on Brandon Moreno before he had to pull out. And instead, they're kind of having him fight down against Charles Johnson. But hey, it's a good opportunity for Charles Johnson. Should maybe sneak onto the main card of this event. I do favor Asul Mabayev. I think his grappling is superior, and he is one of the better fighters to be coming out of Kazakhstan. So props to Asul Mabayev. Good opportunity for Charles. We'll see how the fight plays out. Another matchup for you. This one for UFC Vegas 117 going down May 16th. That's going to be a fun weekend for me. My girlfriend and mother will both be in town. Yay. Tommy Gant makes his long-awaited UFC debut. The 11-0 fighter coming out of the Academy Fight Club, who had a nasty win on the Contender Series, is on to take on Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden hasn't fought in so long, man. I don't know what Trey's been doing. He's a grappler at heart. Biggest win is probably over Daniel Zaluber. Also has wins over Lloyd Graziboev and Kurt Holloway, which is not too shabby. The lightweight fight should be pretty decent. I will lean on Tommy Gant, as I did like what I saw from him. And if I'm thinking of the right fighter, is this the guy that Daniel Cormier was backing? I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was. That one will be coming at you mid-May. Here we go. Ranked women's bantamweight action on that UFC Vegas 119 card, June 20th. Why do we have so many Vegas cards? Why can't we go to arenas every event? Carol Rosa back in action. The number 8 ranked women's bantamweight takes on Luiana Santos, who's ranked at number 14. Luiana Santos has been killing it as of late. She's 5-1, giving her a good opportunity here. The 26-year-old will be taking on Carol Rosa, who's been with the UFC a while. She holds wins over Yana Santos, Jocelyn Edwards, Nora Canole. Pretty decent, but never really amounted to much. She's 32 years old. We'll see how she does. I don't know. I lean more so towards Luiana Santos for that contest. Dropping down to the men's welterweight division, I should say up, as Jonathan Mikolaev is back in action. The 9-1 1 welterweight fighting out of Perth is taking on Themba Gorimbo. Themba Gorimbo, of course, the fighter The Rock gave a house, and it has not been a good investment, Dwayne. Good for you for your, humanity rep here on Earth. But in terms of Themba, he's gone 4-3 in the UFC. Just kind of ran into tough competition, and honestly, he's good, but he's just not great. And that's just the truth of it. And as for Jonathan Mikulaff, he's knocked off Oban Elliott and Kevin Jousset so far in his UFC fights. Recently submitted Oban Elliott after losing round 1, so I'm definitely riding with Jonathan Mikulaff in this one. And that's for a May 2nd card in Perth. So that's for that card between Jack Della Maddalena and Carlos Prates. That's on that card. I am very excited to see Jonathan Mikulaff fight. I have full faith in him. Coming at you also in Perth, May 2nd, Shamil Gaziev, the number 13th ranked men's heavyweight, will be taking on the Balkan Bear, Brando Parrish. That's right, Brando. Go out and finish Louis Sutherland. They're just going to give him another fight. I love it. Brando, already 2-0 in the UFC, just debuted in September. So I like this. Third fight in under a year, fighting out of City Kickboxing. It's a great opportunity for both of these guys. I'm leaning Brando Parrish. I can't lie. Shamil Gaziev, after the Waldo Cortez Acosta loss, does have me at kind of a no confidence vote, but you can never really count out Shamil Gaziev. He's one of my favorite meme fighters in the heavyweight division. Second to latest new UFC fight. UFC Perth has a new fight. Colby Thickneys. They're going to give another shot in the UFC. He does hold a win over Josias Musasa, and his debut was against Alexander Topura. So I'll be very curious to see how he does against Vince Morales. Vince is 16-10 and is a whopping 3-8 in the UFC. Despite that, actually holds wins over Louis Smolka and Ahmed Zahabi. Not too bad. I easily lean on Colby Thickneys here. I think that he is as tough as it comes, and your only career loss is the older brother of Ilia Topura. Yeah, I'm rocking with you. And then the final new fight to bring to your guys' attention coming at you on that Perth card, which this just dropped 20 minutes ago. By the way, it is currently April 1st, so this is no April Fool's joke. You got Wes Schultz, who is 0-1 in the UFC. Tough debut, of course, getting knocked out, which was tough to see. But he takes on Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is 35 years old, making his debut. He is 5-1, and he is a local Australian talent. So shout out to Ben Johnson for getting a fight in the UFC. It should lean on Wes Schultz. He has really good grappling. We'll see if he actually goes out and puts it to use. But, yeah, I'm very curious to see what takes place in this contest. Those are all your new UFC fights. No big title fights being announced as of late. We can theorize about who we think will end up in some title fights, but for the time being, we're just going to be left guessing. So let me know who you guys think are going to be winning those fights. Let me know who you guys think they should announce next as big fights, as we have a lot of fun stuff coming up here on the agenda. And also, other fun stuff coming up on the agenda is the March Madness Final Four. And we have reached it here and now. We have two matchups, both going down April the 4th. You get UConn and Illinois and Arizona and Michigan. One of those four teams will be your new 2026 March Madness champion. Now let's start with the first game going down. UConn and Illinois. UConn was able to get here with a win as the 2 seed. They knocked off 15 seed Furman by 11. Number 7 seed UCLA by 16. Number 3 seed Michigan State by 4, and a buzzer beater win over Duke by 1 point in the Elite 8, which was absolutely legendary. As for Illinois, they came in as the 3 seed, blew out Penn 105-70. They then defeated VCU 76-55, defeated 2-seeded Houston by 10 points, knocked off Iowa by 12, and now they have wound up in the Final Four here. I love it. It's fun. On the year, Illinois is 28-8, and the Huskies are 33-5. Win percentage actually goes 59% to Illinois, 41% to UConn. Very interesting. Illinois will be the favorite at -130. UConn is the underdog at +110 as we head to Lucas Oil Stadium. Now, I think a majority of people, including myself, had Duke, but in my second chance bracket, I actually predicted UConn, funny enough. Top 3 stars for both the teams. You, of course, have Wagler, Mirkovic, and Stojakovic for Illinois. Then you got Reed, Damari. You got you got a lot of stars on UConn. I thought the names would be in front of me. They ended up not being, but it is what it is. And funny enough, both of these teams did not win their respective conferences. They both actually lost. And ironically, they've come into the tournament and just gone on a little 4-game winning streak. So good stuff for UConn and Illinois here. I mean, it's kind of tough to predict, but I honestly do lean, if I'm being honest, I lean more towards UConn. I know Illinois is the favorite, but something about this UConn team, just something about it. I don't know. I just feel like if they were able to get past Duke, if they were able to rally against Duke, being down 15 points at halftime, which, by the way, number one seeds were 134-0 when leading by 15 points, and if they're able to beat them, I think they can beat anyone. So give me UConn over Illinois to advance to the championship. I just think what Dan Hurley has built there is just legendary, and nothing is going to stop them. I got UConn advancing to the championship. And honestly, I think UConn is the only team that can challenge whoever wins our next matchup, Arizona and Michigan. So Arizona, the 1 seed, kicks it off, blowing out Long Island, 92-58. Knocks off Utah State by 12. Knocks off Arkansas, 4th seed, by the way, by 21 points. Then knocks off 2-seeded Purdue by 15. They have blown out literally everyone they have faced. The closest game was Utah State by 12 points. Other than that, this has been a one-way show by Arizona. As for Michigan, same sentiment. Knocks off a 16-seeded Howard by 21, 9-seeded St. Louis by 23, number 4-seeded Alabama by 13, a really tough team, and then they blow out Tennessee by 33 points. Wasn't even close. And now, Arizona, Michigan, the matchup here. 36-2 for the Wildcats, 35-3 for the Wolverines. Just absolutely legendary. Loving it, man. And Giannis Lindenberg for Michigan has been their big star. And as for Burries of Arizona, he has just been an absolute killer. And for the matchup predictor, you got 51.9% Michigan, 48.1% Arizona. I like it. I like the odds there. I think Michigan feels like the team to advance, but do not count out Arizona. You can never do it. You can never count them out. In the last 5 games, obviously Michigan fell to Purdue to lose the Big Ten, and as for Arizona, they won whatever conference they're in. I don't know what conference they're in, if I'm being honest. I'm very bad with that. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea. I have no freaking clue. This team hasn't lost since early February, though, which is very frightening. They won whatever conference they're in, I'm pretty sure. The freaking, I don't know. I'm not even going to Google it, guys, because I honestly don't give a crap. But Arizona has been the best team in the nation besides Duke, and Michigan has been kind of trailing right behind them, losing some games here and there. It's kind of been it is what it is, but I don't know. Everything's telling me Michigan. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I kind of like Arizona more, but everything's telling me Michigan. And funny enough, we'll know the winner of UConn and Illinois before Arizona and Michigan, just because I know they made that how it is, so you'd want to care about the 1 seeds going down at 7:50 on April 4th. So my odds prediction, probably Michigan. I think I'm going to go Michigan. I think Michigan knocks off Arizona, even though I think Arizona may be a more complete team. So no matter who takes on UConn, I'm probably picking the winner of Michigan and Arizona. I think the winner of Michigan and Arizona is going to the championship. In order of the teams I think are going to win, Michigan at 1, UConn at 2, Arizona at 3, and Illinois at 4. I think if Illinois won, even if Illinois makes the championship, it would be insane. But I just don't have the winner of UConn and Illinois knocking off the winner of Arizona and Michigan. And pretty confidently, I can say at this point, I'm probably leaning more so towards Michigan. Their game against Tennessee really reignited my faith in them. For Illinois, look, the Iowa game was close until it wasn't. The only real reason they won by 12 is because of free throws at the end. For Arizona, there's never really been a cause for concern, but I just think, in terms of tough competition, I'm going to weigh Alabama, Tennessee, and St. Louis more so over Purdue, Arkansas, and Utah State. And that's just me. And I think it's just how easy Michigan made it look. Because obviously Arizona, Purdue, and Arkansas were nasty teams, but the way Michigan made those games look so easy for them, I just got to go with them. So I guess right now, as of April 1st, I've been jumping all over the place with who I think will win. But at this point, with Duke out, I'm probably going to go with Michigan to get it done. But in terms for my single game predictions, UConn and Michigan and a UConn-Michigan national championship would be absolutely electric. So those are your predictions for March Madness, the Final Four. We'll be back to recap all of your winners. And actually, I wonder if I'm going to have to postpone next week's episode because Monday's the championship game, and I usually record on either Sunday or Monday night. So I guess we might have to go back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday with our episodes, but exciting stuff there. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive right on into the main discussion today, which is your UFC Vegas 115 predictions. Are you freaking kidding me, guys? Already on to 115 events at the Apex. It was fun during COVID, and now it's just become like, oh, we're going to the Apex again. It is what it is. And we're opening the card with one of the most apex events I've ever seen. Apex fights, I should say. As Kai, the Fighting Hawaiian, by the way, that's his nickname, the Fighting Hawaiian, Kamaka III, takes on Dakota Huracan Hope. And that's right, Kai Kamaka III has somehow made it back into the UFC. I have no idea how Dakota Hope makes his UFC debut. I don't even know why this fight's being made. I don't know what's going on, but I wonder if they just wanted Dakota Hope and they just need an opponent, so they signed Kai Kamaka III. I don't know, but Kai Kamaka is coming in as the minus 155 favorite. Dakota Hope, the plus 135 underdog. Kai is 31. Dakota is 29. 1 inch in height goes to Kai, along with 2 inches in reach. So we'll start with the underdog here. The newbie, Dakota Hope, making his UFC debut. And what is there to say about this guy? You know, he hails from Thailand, but trains out of Texas, I believe. Or maybe he's from Texas and trains out of Thailand. He's 11-1 and is on a 5-fight winning streak. Of his 11 wins, 5 KOs and 1 sub. He went 1-0 in LFA. He also has fought in Fury FC. Only losses to David Bosnick. Why is David Bosnick ringing a bell? I feel like he was maybe in the UFC. Nah, he wasn't in the UFC. I don't know, but this guy was a champion in Peak Fighting, which is some promotion in Texas. He's coming off a round 1 knockout win February 20th, so good stuff for them. And he was actually originally supposed to fight May 17th for a title in Fury FC, and I guess that fight is still actually on. He's technically the current champion. They're weird as he takes on Kai Kamaka III. Guys, this is such a random fight. Literally just made the other day. For Kai Kamaka III, I mean, if you've been following the UFC since 2020 like myself, or 2019, I should more so say, you're familiar with Kai Kamaka. He already had a stint in the UFC. He went 1-2 with a draw. He literally did absolutely nothing. We got TKO'd by Jonathan Pierce, lost a split decision to TJ Brown, majority decision draw against Danny Chavez. I couldn't even tell you who Danny Chavez is. And his only win was in 2020, a fight of the night at UFC 252 against Tony Kelly. Now, Kai Kamaka trains out of Extreme Couture. He does fight out of Hawaii. And he is coming off a win, so good for him. Coming off a win over Michael Lima at Tough Enough 151, January 22nd. He had a round 3 right hook and knockout. Before that, he had lost to Diego Brandao in Tough Enough. He's also fought in the PFL and Bellator. Lost to Brendan Loney. He's picked up a couple wins in Tough Enough as well. Actually holds a win over Bubba Jenkins, oddly. Wow, did not realize that. And you know what? Honestly, not too bad since leaving the UFC. You know, he's picked up some decent wins, actually. His record since leaving the UFC in 2021 is actually going to be, I think, 8-3, which is not too shabby. So I guess he's good. I'm just a little confused why they're giving Dakota Hope this opportunity here. This fight was just thrown together for no reason. I don't know if Dakota Hope is good, but I'll tell you, Kai Kamaka III hasn't really done anything to wow me. But then again, he is coming off a win. So I guess I have to predict this because, well, I'm already in too deep. So just for the heck of it, just because he's an underdog, we're going to slap on Dakota Hope. So we're going to write down Dakota Hope here, and I am going to highlight him with my little highlighter. And we'll lock it in on Verdict MMA. New update on Verdict, so make sure to go follow me over there for all of my official predictions, which I lock in, even though all my predictions I make on here are my official predictions. So getting into the main card, which was not the main card, but the bulk of the card that was originally announced. Women's flyweight division as Dione the Witch Barboza takes on Melissa Gatto. I have zero interest in this fight. Let's just discuss it quickly. Dione Barboza, 8-4. Melissa Gatto, 9-2 2 draws. Wow. 5'6", 5'1", 1 inch in height for Dione, 3 inches in reach for Gatto. They both fight orthodox, and Dione is the minus 145 favorite. Gatto, the plus 120 underdog. Dione Barboza is 33 from Brazil, but now trains out of Las Vegas. Of her 8 wins, 4 submissions, and she's gone 2-1 in the LFA before her UFC career. She's currently 2-2. Last loss was to Karine Silva in August. One thing I'll say about Dione Barboza, you know, she does have an arm triangle. She got it last year in April, so good stuff for her. Her only losses are decisions to Miranda Maverick and Karine Silva, so she's clearly not bad whatsoever. I mean, just hasn't really done anything to impress me or wow me, if I'm being honest. As for Melissa Gatto, you know, the 29-year-old is from Brazil, has 7 of her 9 wins by finish, and is coming off a round 3 knockout of Tamaris Vidal. Now, you may ask, that's impressive, Zach. That was a year and 11 months ago, though. Okay, she hasn't fought since May of 2024. all right? And that means no even canceled bouts. She's just had nothing going on. Her only losses are to Ariana De Silva and Tracy Cortez, which aren't bad, but like I said, she just hasn't fought in a while. Diana Barbosa has fought in tougher competition. I usually would lean with the underdog here, but I'm going to go with Deone Barbosa. I just think, she impressed me a bit more in her last fight, especially since it was only in August, which, 8 months ago, or even 9 months ago, actually, compared to a year and 11 months, I'm going to probably lean more with the person who's fought sooner. Moving on up, here's where we get something fun here. Middleweight division. We've been waiting on this meme fight, ladies and gentlemen. Azamat Iron Bekov. Wow, Azamat finally gave himself a nickname. Takes on Mr. Vicious, Tresean Gore. That's an awful nickname, Tresean. Azamat is 20-4. Tresean is 6-4. Yikes. 3 inches in reach for Tresean, and they both stand at 6 foot. Switch stands for Tresean, orthodox for Azamat Bekov. Azamat Bekov is minus 550. He's one of the biggest favorites on this card. I think the third biggest favorite, if I'm not mistaken. Tresean at plus 375 is got to be the third biggest underdog then on this card. Now, as for Azamat Bekov, the 30-year-old is from Russia and trains out of American Top Team. He has 16 of his 20 wins by finish, 8 KOs and 8 subs, but since coming to the UFC, he's been a knockout machine. Went 2-1 last year, knocking out Zachary and Ryan Loder, both in round 1, before losing to Yusri Belgore in October. Little did we know, Yusri Belgore is absolutely cracked. He's actually legit. We just saw him knock out our boy Mansour Abdul-Malik last weekend, so that is not a bad loss whatsoever, Azamat. And he even showed some good grappling and landed some big shots on Yusri in that fight, so definitely have a full vote of confidence in Azamat Bekov for this fight. Now, as for Tresean Gore, Tresean Gore, where to be? At one point, he was fighting on the Ultimate Fighter. He was coming into the UFC with a pretty decent record of 4-1. He has since gone 2-4 in the UFC and just hasn't been doing good. They've been having to fight tough opponents, to be fair. The 31-year-old born in South Carolina now fights out of Georgia, has 4 of those 6 wins by finish, and of his 4 losses, he's only ever been finished twice. Of course, both of them have come in the UFC, knocked out by Marco Tulio and Cody Brundage, both rough. Was a runner-up to Brian Battle on the Ultimate Fighter in an unofficial rematch, and most recently lost to Rodolfo Vieira in August by decision. So this is really set up to give Azamat Bekov a knockout here. Honestly, one thing left to say is Tresean Gore, fight like you're the underdog. Fight for your UFC career. If you lose, you will never be back here. So it's make or break it for him. Azamat Bekov has quadrupled his experience and double the wins, or triple the wins, I should say. So Azamat Bekov, round 1 knockout, lock it in. As for the previous 2 fights, I got Deone Barbosa maybe by submission. I can see it. And Dakota Hope and Kai Kamaka, I definitely think is going to end in a knockout of some sort. Hopefully leaning more so towards Dakota Hope. But Azamat Bekov, he's the favorite. Let's ride with him. Women's bantamweights in action next as the Golden Girl, Elise Pereira, the youngest woman, actually second youngest woman now fighting on the roster, takes on Haley All Hail Cohen. All Hail Cohen. Haley All Hail Cohen. It has a nice ring, but it's kind of like a tongue twister. Pereira is minus 115. Haley minus 110. It's a pick'em fight. Pereira is 6-1. Cohen is 7-4. Both are 5'8" and 4 inches in reach for Pereira is the major notoriety here. Southpaw for Cohen, orthodox for Pereira, and a ridiculous 14-year age gap. Oh my goodness, that is insane. That's right. Let's start with Haley Cohen. Let's start with the older individual here. Cohen is 34. From Texas, 4 of those 7 wins have come by finish. Of her 4 defeats, she's been submitted 3 times. Now, before coming to the UFC, she was pretty good. Went 5-2 in the LFA and was, not too shabby. Now, last year she lost to Nora Canole. All right, that was, rough. Wasn't ideal, okay? And actually, in between her last fight in 2023, she had 5 canceled bouts. So she's only had 2 fights in the UFC. Decision loss in 2023, and a rear naked chokehold loss in 2025. Hasn't done much. To make matters worse, she took down Nora Canole in that fight, and then got rear naked chokeholded. So, not a good vote of confidence. She takes on Elise Pereira, or Elise Pereira, however you say her name, 20 years old from Brazil. 3 KOs and 1 sub, give her 4 of 6 wins by finish as well. And she was actually a Cage Masters champion at 8. Team. Lost her debut by split decision at UFC Noche, or San Antonio, in September to Montese Rendon, and I think she bounces back here. This is set up to give Alice the win, and it would really suck if her ceiling is Kaylee Cohen and she cannot get past her. But Haley Cohen just hasn't fought a lot in the UFC. Alice is being set up here to get a big victory. Go out there, Alice. Get it done. A finish would be awesome, but at best, a decision. Let's make it happen. Keeping us rolling from the women's bantamweight to the men's lightweight. Yet another fight. I have no idea how either of these guys are the UFC. The UFC just throwing fights together just to do it. We got Lando Groovy Venata back at the UFC to take on Darius Beast Mode Flowers. I don't know who these guys' managers are, but I got to hire them as a recruiting person for me. They'll get me the best sales job in the country the way these two are still getting fights in the UFC. Lando, 12-7-2. Darius, 12-8-1. They oddly have the same number of professional fights. Funny enough, at 21. 5'9" to 5'9", same height. 70 foot to 71 inch reach to 71 inch reach. Same reach. Orthodox stance, the same. The only real difference, 34 for Lando, 31 for Darius. They're just a couple years apart. For Lando Venata, he, of course, is a -230 favorite here. Born in New Jersey, but now fights out of New Mexico. He's got 9 of those 12 wins by finish, 4 KOs and 5 subs, not too bad. And over 7 defeats, he's only ever been submitted 2 times. He had 2 canceled bouts, one in 2023 and 2024, and this dude has just had nothing going on. Like, Lando just wasn't fighting last year. His last UFC fight, his last MMA fight, was April 2023. That Arnold Allen, Max Holloway, Kansas City card, that was the last time he fought a decision loss to Daniel Zellhuber. Before that, got submitted by Charles Jourdain, but that was 4 freaking years ago. Last win was a split decision over Mike Grundy in 2021. Yikes. He's 1-3 in his last 4, but like I said, he just hasn't fought in forever. Like, we can't even judge any of his career. I mean, this guy's obviously, Lando Venata is a mainstay here in the history of the UFC. He's fought in King Green multiple times. He's fought Mark Diakise. His debut was a fight of the night against Tony Ferguson, if that doesn't tell you much. He's picked up a couple of wins, but I will say this. He's had both of his draws in the UFC. He's had all 7 of his defeats in the UFC, and he's only had 4 of those 12 victories in the UFC. So we'll see how he does when he takes on Darius Flowers, who is no better. Like, there's nothing much to rave about Darius Flowers. 31 years old, born in Chicago, now fights out of Iowa, so he's a traitor to my city. I currently live in Chicago. 9 of those 12 wins are by finish, so 8 KOs and 1 sub. Similar stuff there. Now, notable this, 8 losses, 6 by sub. He's also 0-3 in the UFC. Now, to be fair, he's fought in Jake Matthews, Michael Johnson, and Evan Elder. Tough guys. Last fight, July 2024, where he was just, kind of just taken advantage of by Evan Elder. So, I don't know who to pick here. I'm going to pick Lando Venata, but at this point, I feel like I should probably pick Darius Flowers, but we're going to go Lando. For the heck of it, I have no idea. I just can't bring myself to think of either of these guys winning. If anything, I'd predict a draw, but we don't predict draws on here. We predict winners. Lando Venata by submission. Let's give it to me. Next up, the lowest division in the men's, the flyweight division, as Alessandro No Costa takes on Kakamora Stuart Nicole. Kakamora, is that like the animal in Australia? I don't know, but Stuart is from Australia. 14-5 to 8-2. Alessandro has much more fighting experience. 1 inch in height for Stuart and 2 inches of reach go to Alessandro Costa. Interesting stuff here between these two gentlemen. Plus 310 for Stuart Nicole. Minus 415. Alessandro Costa, big favorite here. I mean, I guess. I do think he is the better fighter, to be fair. The 30-year-old is from Brazil, but now fights out of Mexico. He's gotten 11 of those 14 wins by finish, 5 KOs and 6 subs. But of his 5 defeats, he's been knocked out 3 times. Most recently in UFC Noche, San Antonio, knocked out in round 3 by Alden Correa. Now, little did we know Alden Correa is actually pretty cracked at fighting, so going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. He's knocked out Jimmy Flick and Kevin Borjas. Other losses, Amir Albazi and Steven Erceg, so he's not too bad. Alessandro Costa's been fighting some tough guys. He's actually a Season 6 Contender Series veteran, fun fact for you. For Stuart Nicole, I mean, where to begin with Stuart? 31 from Australia, 7 of his 8 wins by finish, 4 KOs and 3 subs. Both of his losses have come in the UFC. In 2024, he was knocked out by Jesus, or he was submitted by Jesus, funny enough. And then he lost to Lucas Rocha in October last year in Brazil. So, nothing much to be loved here. I just think that Alessandro Costa is better. I kind of wish he wasn't that high of a favorite. I feel like minus 415 is a bit too high, but there's really nothing I could do to pick Stuart Nicole. I don't doubt he could win. I'd say about a lot of the fights I've predicted up until now, I think the only real lock I'd give you is Osmond over Trayshawn. That's one of my locks. And this one, it feels like a lock, but also like Alessandro Costa just doesn't feel like he should be that big of a favorite, as I've been reiterating over and over. So we'll see what happens, but we are going to be predicting Alessandro Costa to get it done, maybe by knockout too, if he's feeling spicy. In that, we're on to the men's heavyweight division, and here we go. He's still in here. Some of these guys, their contracts must be ridiculous with the UFC. Guilherme Pat, the Kong, of course, he's in the UFC. He's taking on Thomas the Train Peterson. How is Thomas the Train still getting fights? I love it. I love it. My Minnesota boy's still repping, but he keeps getting freaking, keeps losing. We need to get some wins here, Thomas. Guilherme Pat is 6-0. Is the reason they call him Kong. He hits like King Kong, if I'm being honest. Thomas Pearson is 10-4, 5 inches in height for Guilherme, and 7 inches in reach, 81-74. He fights orthodox. Thomas is southpaw. Son of a gun. Son of a freaking gun. Now, Thomas, he's only a minus 105 favorite, because guess what? It's a pick'em. Him and Guilherme is a pick'em. Guilherme is minus 120, so very interesting there. Thomas is 31 from Webster, Minnesota. I don't know which city he trains out now, but he is a Minnesota boy, born and raised. 7 KOs and 1 sub, give him an 80% finish rate. Tragically, of his 4 defeats, he's been knocked out 3 times. Very impressively, he actually went 6-1 in the LFA, but since joining the UFC, he's gone 2-3. Lost his debut, defeated Muhammad Usman, got knocked out by Shamil Gaziev. Last win was May 2025 over Dontel Mays using grappling. And more recently in Brazil, he was brutally knocked out by Vitor Petrino with one of the nastiest uppercut knockouts I've seen, 26 seconds into round 3. Now, he was hanging around, but Vitor was kind of toying with him. So we'll see how Thomas does against another Brazilian in Guilherme Pat. 31 years old, same as him. 4 of those 6 wins are by knockout. And he defeated Alan Fry Jr. in his debut back in December. Not the most impressive win, might I add. So it's not like this isn't a winnable fight for Thomas Peterson. But from his history, I just could not pick Thomas. I know he's been going win-loss, but like, come on. I got to go with Guilherme Pat here. I'm sorry, Thomas. Maybe it's one of those reverse things where I pick Guilherme and you win. If I'm wrong with this fight, I'm more than happy. I like Thomas Peterson, but I just cannot keep picking him to win because, like, dude is just not getting it done. So, Guilherme Pat by knockout. But Thomas Peterson, if you want to put the grappling to work, you go out there and do it, my friend. I'm rooting for you. Following that, we get our main card cooking, and we got some bangers on here, guys. We have got some fantastic fights. Opening it up, one of the best unranked featherweight fights. You guys have never heard of either of these guys. Jose Delano and Robert Ruchala. You've never heard of them. This is going to be such a good fight. This would be a fight night main event on the regional scene. That's how good this is. Jose is 16-3. Robert is 11-2. Both are 5'8". You get 2 inches in reach for Robert, 72-70. He fights switch stance. Jose fights orthodox. This will be the second fight in the UFC for Robert Ruchala. Okay, he's plus 310 underdog. Jose Delano at his debut is going to be minus 415. That's right. Ruchala is 27 years young from Poland. He's got 6 of those 11 wins by finish, split, KOs and subs, 3 each. And he was 8-1 in KSW and was actually their champion, I believe in either featherweight or lightweight. And he debuted in Paris, taking on William Gomez. Didn't go that well, right? Lost a unanimous decision, but did come alive, in round 2. But sadly, rounds 1 and 3 went to William Gomez. It was competitive, might I add, but nonetheless, he lost. I think he would win a majority of fights. However, the guy he's taken on, Jose Delano, had such an impressive fight in his Contender Series fight on Season 9. There's just no way I can't pick him. 29 years old, from Rio de Janeiro. All right, he's on a little 4-fight winning streak. 9 of his 16 wins are by finish, 4 KOs and 5 subs. Of his 3 defeats, he has been finished twice. Went 6-1 in the LFA, and his last loss was to Gabriel Santos. By the way, if we know Gabriel Santos, he's a legit featherweight. And in his Contender Series fight against Manuel Exposito, 146 significant strikes at 38. And the only reason he didn't finish Manuel is because Manuel is a completely different breed. So going with Jose Delano here, this is going to be such a fun fight. I'm going to try, if I'm going to catch any fight up to this point, this is the fight I want to see because I am very excited to watch this. It's going to be so much fun. Another fight I'm looking forward to. It's the one after this. Tommy Gun McMillan makes his debut. They're giving him the Italian Manolo Angelo Venciano Zencini. His nickname is a whole nother name, right? But okay, so his name's Manuel Zencini. His nickname is Angelo Veneziano. Okay, what is that? What is that, Tommy? Tommy is the second biggest favorite on this card at minus 1,000. Manelo plus 675. Yeah, yeah, Manolo's a big underdog here. Why? Well, maybe because Tommy is 9-0. Manuel's only 11-4. 4 inches in height go to Tommy. 6 inches in reach go to Tommy. And he's been absolutely killing it. 28 years old from Montana, but now trains out of Arizona. He's a young Sean Strickland, some are saying. Not Sean Strickland, the other one, Sean O'Malley. Of those 9 wins, 8 finishes, 3 KOs and 5 subs. And he picked up a majority decision win over David McGowan as the underdog on the Contender Series. So very excited to see Tommy in the UFC. Made a name for himself on the Contender Series. So we'll see how he does here as he takes on Manolo Zaccini. Manolo is 29 from Venice, Italy. He's from Venice Beach. Very nice. Now he's just from Venice, Italy. But 10 of his 11 wins are by finish, 9 KOs and 1 sub. However, he's just not good. Morgan Cherie knocked him out in Paris in September 2023. So a year and a half later, scratch that, 2.5 years later, he's finally fighting again. So I don't know what Manolo's been up to, but he had another fight on his contract. We're going with Tommy McMillan. I'm honestly feeling a sub. I'm honestly feeling like a sub in round 1 for Tommy, maybe even round 2. Round 2 submission for Tommy McMillan. I think he just breaks him down, gets the submission going. I mean, he looked good on the Contender Series. He trains with, I think, Sean O'Malley's camp out in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, but this is going to be fun. Not necessarily in closeness, but I just think watching the debut of Tommy McMillan in the UFC will be very telling if he's cut out for the big lights. I combined bright and big into one thing. The brig lights. That's a new term I'm going to use. Drop it down to bantamweight. This one's even better, guys. Ethan Ewing back again. You got to call him the prospect shutter downer or something. You got to call him the hype killer, the way he took down Malcolm Wellmaker in his UFC debut. And he's taking on an undefeated flyweight, moving up in weight in Rafael Estevam. Ethan's 9-2. He's literally a construction worker by day. Rafael Estevam is 14-0. 2 inches in height for Rafael. They both have a 69-inch reach. Nice. And they both fight in the orthodox fighting position. Now, -4, Rafael Estevam, -110. Ethan is -115. It's a pick-em fight. A lot of pick-em fights on this card. Estevam, 29 from Rio, trains at the same gym as Jose Aldo did, Nova União, and he has 7 of his 14 wins by finish. So kind of a decision machine. If I'm being honest, he's only a 50% finish rate. He's a decision machine. He was actually supposed to fight November 1st against Alan Nascimento, but that fight fell through, so his last fight was August over Felipe Bunez. He's 3-0 in the UFC. Biggest win probably over Charles Johnson in his debut, and he picked up a round 2 TKO on the Contender Series, but that was season 6. That was like 4 years ago. So, Rafael Estevam, we know he's legit. We know he's good. But the guy who's taking on Ethan Ewing knows the thing about beating good fighters when he took down Malcolm Wellmaker. 28 years old from Cali, currently on a 9-fight winning streak. That's right, he started out his professional career 0-2 and hasn't lost since. 6 KOs and 1 sub give him 7 of 9 wins by finish, which is very good. And he was actually holds wins in the LFA and Uriah Faber's fight organization, whatever it's called. I can't remember what Uriah Faber's organization is called, but he's legit. I'm very torn on this one, guys. I can't lie to you guys. Ethan Ewing impressed me greatly against Malcolm Wellmaker. He really did. He lost round 1 and then managed to fight back and win rounds 2 and 3. But I mean, I'm not like super high on Estevam, but nonetheless, he is undefeated. He's been using his grappling. I mean, he's a grappling menace. He's had 3 fights in the UFC and has landed 19 takedowns. That's, it's pretty crazy. So, I don't know. Looking at his last fight against Felipe Bunez, he did go to a 29-28 decision and might have lost round number 3. Just want to throw that out there. So, despite getting almost 11 minutes of control time, did lose round 3 on that scorecard. So, I don't know. I might lean on Ethan Ewing here. My heart says Ewing and the mind says Estevam, but I just think if I'm going to make any risky picks, because I'm not really making a risky pick the rest of the way through the card, I'm going to just go with Ethan Ewing. I don't know if he's going to close as the favorite, but I've liked what I've seen from him so far. He's going to be someone fun to root for, too. It's not fun to root for Rafael Estevam. He's obviously the favorite, so we'll go with Ethan Ewing to get another upset. Let's make it happen. Quickest fight prediction of your life in this next one. Abdulrakhmakyakiayev, the Hunter, takes on Brenson, the Gorilla Ribeiro. I'll break it down real quick for you. We'll spend about a minute on it, but Abdulrakhmakyakiayev by murder in round number 1. This is the hottest light heavyweight prospect we've seen in a while. He's so good. He is so ridiculously good. He's so good, he's a -1,400 favorite, the biggest favorite on this card. A -1,400 favorite is ridiculous. You would have to bet $1,400 just to win $100. That's awful return. That's how good he is. He's 8-0. You know, he is 25 years young from Russia, but now trains out of Turkey. 7 of those 8 wins are by finish, 3 KOs and 4 subs. A majority of them have come in round number 1. He was an Aries FC champion at only 23 years of age, and he's had 1 decision and 1 round 2 fight. Everything else has gone down in round number 1. He's 1 inch shorter than Brenson and has 3 inches less in reach, but I don't think that'll faze him whatsoever. Had a 30-second knockout on the Contender Series and a 30-second knockout/rear naked chokehold in his debut in Baku, so he's an absolute murderer. For Brenson Ribeiro, he's the biggest underdog, plus 740, so best of luck to the Gorilla. He's 29 years old from Brazil and has 16 of his 17 wins by finish, so he's a finishing machine, but of his 9 defeats, he's been finished 7 times, including 5 by KO. He's a whopping 2-4. In the UFC, he's been knocked out by Zhang Mingyang, Azamat Murzakanov, and Omar Sy. Went 1-2 last year. Only wins are over Kyle Machado and Dayar Nargose. Not the biggest vote of confidence, if I'm being honest. So, going with Abdulrahman Yakyayev, one of my easiest predictions. This would be one of the biggest upsets of the year if Abdul lost now, but I think he's super good. I think he's 1 or 2 more fights away from getting a ranked opponent, but he's young at only 25. They're still feeding him guys like Brenson Ribeiro, who are seasoned but not highly ranked. So, best of luck to Abdulrahman Yakyayev. He should more than likely starch Brenson Ribeiro. I am pumped to see the result of that matchup. Into our co-main event, women's strawweight division, and it is some top 10 action, as you have the number 3 ranked Virna Jandiroba taking on the number 7th ranked Tabitha Ricci. Virna Karakara Jandiroba, what a fun nickname that is, taking on Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci. Virna is 22-4, Tabitha 12-3, 2 inches in height for Virna, and 3 inches in reach for her as well. They both fight orthodox. I don't know. Virna is the underdog here, which I'm very appetized by. I mean, her game plan is as straightforward as it comes, just grappling. She is 37 from Brazil, 15 of her 22 wins by finish, 14 by sub. Never been finished of her 4 career defeats, and she has gone 8-4 in the UFC. Holds a lot of wins over notable fighters. She has beaten Angela Hill, Marina Rodriguez, Lupi Godinez, Amanda Lemos, Yan Chonin, and only recently lost to Mackenzie Dern for the Women's Strawweight Championship. Competitive fight, though. Might I add, she was able to take at least 2 to 3 rounds. No, she was able to take 2 rounds at max of that fight. But still, looked pretty good, landed lots of takedowns, lost it on the feet, though, and in getting reversed. Her opponent, Tabitha Ricci, has been slinging some, momentum together here as of late. She's 31 from Brazil, but now fights out of California. 5 of her 12 wins are by finish, 2 knockouts, and 3 subs, and she's gone 7-3 in the UFC. She is coming off a win over Amanda Ribas in July, knocked her out in round number 2, and before that, lost the decision to Yan Chonin. Before that, did pick up 2 wins over Tisha Pennington and Angela Hill, and before that, lost to Lupi Godinez. Her only losses, to be fair, are to the number 6, the number 4, and the number 2 in the women's flyweight, what's her name? Mana Fiorot. So she's only lost the top-level talent, but, I'll say, Virna Jandiroba just kind of strikes me as getting this done. Maybe I'm just a bit silly, but for being an underdog here, we haven't picked much underdogs, but I figured she'd be the underdog in this fight. She's not entertaining. She has a very straightforward game plan and getting you down in the grappling realm and submitting you. And I think she takes out Tabitha Ricci. I think she gets it done. So I'm going to predict Virna Jandiroba to defeat Tabitha Ricci by decision. That's what I think is going to take place. I mean, look, she's done it before. She's got a track record of it, and I just have not seen a lot from Tabitha Ricci. Knocking out Amanda Ribas doesn't make me think you should be a favorite when you're facing someone who just lost for a world title opportunity. So give me Virna Jandiroba over Tabitha Ricci. Thank you very much. And with that, we get into the main event as the number 10 ranked Hinata Moicano takes on the unranked Christopher Duncan. Just Chris Duncan. Nickname is the problem. We'll see how this one goes. Hinato is 20-7 with a draw. Chris is 15-2. 1 inch in height for Hinato and 1 inch in reach as well. Orthodox stance for both of these fighters. Chris Duncan, in his first main event, is the minus 205 favorite. Plus 165 is Hinato Moicano. Hinato, 36, from Brazil, now trains out of Florida, actually with American Top Team. 12 of his 20 wins are by finish, including 2 knockouts and 10 submissions. And of his 7 defeats, he's been finished 5 times. He's gone 12-7 in the UFC, so he'll be aiming for win number 20, or fight number 20 here. He was actually supposed to fight Brian Ortega back in, I think it was January, but that fight fell apart. As of now, Renato is on a little losing streak. 0-2 in the Big 25. A decision loss to Beneil Dariush was his last fight in June, which was a very bad fight, might I add. Before that, short notice loss to Islam Makhachev, which it is what it is. But, Renato's been decent. Back in 2024, went 3-0, wins over Drew Dober, Jalen Turner, and Benoit Saint Denis. In the past, he's defeated Brad Riddell, Alexander Hernandez, Calvin Kattar, Cub Swanson, and even Jeremy Stevens. So, Moicano has been with the UFC over a decade now, been in plenty of main event opportunities, but this one just seems very odd to me that he's getting one here on a 2-fight losing streak, and it feels like they're feeding him to the problem, the prospect, you could say, Chris Duncan. Chris is 32 years old from Scotland, also trains at the American Top Team out there. 11 of his 15 wins are by finish, 7 KOs and 4 subs, and he's currently been on a generational run. Obviously fought twice in the Contender Series, a knockout loss and a knockout win. Follows it up with 2 decision fights before getting submitted by Manuel Torres, which landed him at 2-1 in the UFC. But from the Paris card in 2024 to the present day of 2026, he's gone 4-0. Submitted Bellagio Key in September of 2024, submitted Jordan Vucevic in March last year, had a fight of the night of victory over Mateusz Rebecca, and ended December with a fantastic 2.5-minute war against Terrence McKinney, where he knocked him down and submitted him with an anaconda choke. So Chris Duncan, I think, is more than ready for this opportunity. Even when he's been taken down, the Mateusz Rebecca, Jordan Vucevic, Bellagio Key fights, he's been able to overcome it. I just want to throw that in here because Renato Moicano's main game plan is going to be getting Chris Duncan to the ground. So is Chris Duncan over his head here? Maybe, but honestly, I just don't really see Renato Moicano going on a run here, and especially, is it a winnable fight? Yes, I think it's very winnable, but from everything I've seen from Chris Duncan, I would love to see a prospect get it done. So we went from an 0-2 January to an 0-3 February to an 4-0 on main events in March. So we're going to see how April kicks out for us. We're going to go with the prospect here. Obviously, the veteran Renato Moicano is not a bad pick, but just from what I've seen from Chris Duncan, I feel like I'm going to be rooting for him more as opposed to having to root for Renato Moicano. So Chris Duncan over Renato Moicano, lock it in. I would not be surprised if this fight ends in round 1. This is going to be an absolute slaughterhouse, slugfest, grappling fest. These two are going to go to war. I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on every single fight on today's card, or I guess whenever you're listening to this, the UFC Vegas 115 card. Let me know who you guys think are going to win. I'm very curious because there's lots of fights going down, and we're pretty good. I think we're almost plus 30, might be over plus 30 on our predictions. We've bounced back from a rough start to the year, and we're just going to keep it rolling. So thank you guys so much for listening. Also, just, comment down below who you guys think is going to win between, all of our March Madness teams and many more stuff and beyond. So take care, have a good weekend, and I'll see you guys next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.